Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruach Kadash. There's no cap, Nation Kings and Priests. Bringing out a quick cut session to cut the Old Testament only doctrine. So let's start with Genesis 3:14, right? Let's start from the beginning of the Bible. And let's see which doctrine makes more sense. That only the Old Testament is valid, or is the Old and New Testament that's a valid compilation of books, right? So let me get Genesis 3:14. Whoever got it first.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 14. And the Lord God said unto the serpent.
So who?
The serpent.
Read.
Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all the cattle, and above every beast of the field.
So a lot of Christians and unlearned people think that it's talking about a physical snake, a physical serpent. It's talking about a man. The man is being called a serpent. Like if I say somebody's a rat, they're not a rat, they're snitching. If I say somebody's a snake, that means they're talking and saying lies, right? The serpent lied to Eve, so they're calling it a serpent. The man lied to Eve. So let's keep reading.
Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
So now you understand that there's a curse being laid upon. It says you're going to be cursed above every beast, right? Above the field, right? So let's see if men are called beasts in the Bible. Read.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 18.
Wisdom from Solomon. Hear this wisdom. Read.
I said in my heart, concerning the estate of the sons of men,
the subject matter of the sons of men. Read.
That God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves,
man, subject matter, they themselves, mankind. Read.
Are beasts.
What are mankind?
Are beasts.
So according to the Bible, men are beasts. So when we read in Genesis that the snake was cursed above all beasts, it was cursed above all men. That's what it's talking about. So let's go back to Genesis 3:15.
And I'm going to start at 14. It says, Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Read again from the top.
Verse 14. And the Lord God said unto the serpent.
So God's giving this message to the serpent, this snake, right? Read.
Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field.
Only a dumb Christian would think a snake could talk. There's not new under the sun. Snakes don't speak. It's talking about men. So let's finish it out.
Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. Everybody
besides the Old Testament only would say this talking about Christ, right? So if this is not talking about Christ, I want an answer for this from the Old Testament only. Who is this talking about? Keep reading.
And it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
So according to the Bible, who's the serpent, and when did that serpent bruise anybody's heel? So let's read it out the Bible. You got it?
Yeah.
Read it, King.
This is in the book of Mark, chapter 15, verse 24, the Passion Translation.
So we're going to prove, right? And we read different translations and we cross-reference text to understand the Bible deeper, right? So we're going to prove who got his heels damaged according to the Bible by the serpent. Read.
They nailed his hands and his feet to the cross.
They're talking about the Messiah. The Romans, the serpent, nailed him to the cross. Read.
The soldiers divided his clothing among themselves by rolling dice to see who would win them.
What did the soldiers do? Let me get
The soldiers divided his clothing among themselves by rolling dice to see who would win them.
So now, right, we're gonna get our precepts talking about how they parted my garments, right? So let's see whose garments are getting parted, because if Christ is not the Messiah of the New Testament, right, I need an Old Testament to break this down to me. Explain to me who's the Bible talking about. Read it.
Start from the top.
Read Isaiah 22.
You said 53.
Okay, yeah, 53 and 1.
This is Isaiah chapter 53, verse 1. Who has believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
The Pharisees, right? The priestly order, the government of Israel didn't esteem their king. Read.
Fine. So, verse 4. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. That's plain. But he was wounded for our transgression.
So according to the Bible, who was wounded for the sins of somebody else? That's according to the Old Testament only. Let's keep reading.
He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are.
With his what?
With his stripes we are healed.
Who was whipped with stripes, with 9 tails, according to the Bible? Read the Passion Translation again. Matthew 15:24.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24. They nailed his hands and feet to the cross.
This is the Messiah. The Romans nailed him to the cross. Read.
The soldiers divided his clothing among themselves.
What did the soldiers do?
Divided his clothing among themselves.
Now let me get that in Psalms 22. Psalms 22? Yeah, 22 and 22 and 16.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 22 and verse 16. For dogs have compassed me.
What compassed you?
The dogs have compassed me.
And we're going to show you who the dogs are. Read.
The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me.
The assembly of the wicked. We're going to show you who the wicked are. Read.
They pierced my hands and my feet.
What did they do?
They pierced my hands and my feet.
And according to the Passion Translation, the Romans, they nailed his hands and his feet to the cross. So what David is talking about is the Romans, right? But that's the piercing serpent. Let's keep reading.
I may tell all my bones. They look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them.
What did they do?
They part my garments among them.
And we just read how the Romans parted his garments. Finish that out.
And cast lots upon my vesture.
And that's what David saw, and that's what was fulfilled by the Messiah. If I'm wrong, prove it, right? But let's continue, right? Let's bring out some more precepts. Let me get Isaiah 27 and 1.
Do you find it for me, the Romans 55? This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 27, verse 1.
Read.
In that day the Lord, with his sword and great and strong sword.
If you read Genesis 27, verses 38 through 40, it reveals to you Esau was given a sword. Read it again from the top.
Isaiah 27 and 1. In that day the Lord, with his sword and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
So Leviathan is a huge snake, a bigger serpent. The serpent in the garden grew. It became a Leviathan now by the time Isaiah was talking. Read it again from the top.
In that day the Lord, with his sword and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
Hold that, read.
This is the book of St. John, chapter 19 and verse 34. But one of the soldiers,
one of the Romans, read,
with a spear,
with the spear did what?
Pierced his side.
The piercing serpent. Hold that. Read that one more time from the top. 27 and 1.
In that day, the Lord with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent.
The piercing serpent, which is Leviathan, right? That large snake. And the testimony of John is saying, read it again.
This is the book of John, chapter 19 and verse 34. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side.
And that's what was revealing. That's the piercing serpent. The Roman piercing our king. That's what is being mentioned here. That's what's being fulfilled in the testimonies, in the Bible. So if Isaiah's talking about a piercing serpent, who's this piercing serpent and what did it pierce? A value. I'd love somebody to bring that out. But let's continue, right? Now let's get 2 Samuel. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 7, right? And let's see who this is talking about according to Old Testament or any other theology and doctrine. Let's read.
Book of 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 14.
Start at 12.
Verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers.
So this is Nathan talking to King David, giving him a prophecy. Read.
I will set up thy seed after thee.
Thy son, their seed, right? In the Hebrew word zera. Let's keep reading.
Which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom.
So this son is going to come out of King David, out of his bowels. Read.
He shall build an house for my name.
Solomon built the house for the name of the Lord. But what you got, Yahweh, right? Keep reading.
And I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
But Solomon's kingdom wasn't forever. Keep reading.
Khan, I will be his father.
And when the Messiah was baptized, the clouds parted. And what did the Father say? Read that part again.
I will, verse 14.
Yeah.
I will be his father.
Fulfilled when the Messiah was baptized by John the Baptist, the clouds heaven and the dove descended saying, this is my son, and to whom I'm well pleased. That's the fulfillment of this prophecy. Keep reading.
And he shall be my son.
Uh-huh.
If he commit iniquity,
the Messiah didn't commit any sin. Keep reading.
I will chasten him with the rod of men.
But he still had to be the suffering servant for the sins of the children of Israel. But Solomon sinned. But Solomon died in peace. He never was whipped by nobody. So this scripture can only be fulfilled by the Messiah. It can't be fulfilled. He's building the same way Solomon built a physical temple, the Messiah is building a spiritual temple. This can only be fulfilled by the person that proceeds out of the bowels of David, which can only be Solomon and his seed line, which is Yahweh. Solomon never fulfilled this. So our Old Testament only will have to explain who is this talking about.
Hey, I got another translation.
Yeah, bring it out.
This is 2 Samuel 7:14 in the NLT. It says, I will be his father, and he will be my son. If he sins, I will correct and discipline him with the rod, like any father would do.
Right. So it's just showing, right, that there's no way an Old Testament only has ever read these verses and had answers for these verses. They have to avoid these. I debated a lot to them, and they would never address this verse because there's no way around this. Right? So let's keep digging in.
I got a precept too.
Yeah, bring it up. Okay.
So, and y'all, they got to explain this too. This is Isaiah chapter 8, verse 8. And he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck and the stretching. No, that's not what I wanted. Sorry. That's not what I wanted. But I'll keep reading that. And he stretches out his wings, shall feel the breath of thy land, O Emmanuel.
God. And if you read Isaiah,
Proverbs.
if you read Isaiah 7 and 12 to 14, it'll tell you who Emmanuel is, right? It's the Messiah, right? So while you getting that, let me get Psalms 22.
All right.
Bring it back up.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 22 and verse 16. For dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet.
25.
Yeah, read it again from top. Can't select it.
For dogs have compassed me.
Uh-huh.
The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me.
Uh-huh.
They pierced my hands and my feet.
So now we understand who got pierced, right? Let's see who the dogs are. Let's get Matthew 15 and start for 21. God.
This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 21. Then Yahweh went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon.
Uh-huh.
And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil.
Uh-huh. Jump down to verse 27.
27. Verse
26.
20.
Oh, wait, not here.
26 and 27, yeah.
Come on, verse 26. Well, I'm going to start at 24. Verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
No, I'm sent to the Christians.
To the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
No, I'm sent to the Catholics.
To the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
He wasn't sent to any religion. He was sent to his people, the children of Israel. Keep reading.
Then came she and worshipped him and saying, Lord, help me.
Uh-huh. So let's see what he says to this woman, right? This non-Israelite woman. Read.
Verse 26. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs.
What did the Messiah say?
Khan, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs.
The Messiah just called her a dog. The heathens, a dog. Read what you get in Psalms again.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 22 and verse 16. For dogs have compassed me.
The heathen have surrounded him when he was getting crucified. Read.
The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They pierced my hands and my feet.
So let's see who this border of wickedness is, right? Because he just called them a dog, which means heathens. He said they pierced them, which are the Romans. Now let's see who the wicked are according to the Bible, right? Let me get Obadiah 1 and
18 or something like that.
1 and 4.
1 and 4.
I got the other precept that I was talking about.
Yeah,
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 17 and verse 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked.
The what?
The wicked, which is thy sword.
So the wicked is the sword, right? The wicked is Esau because he was given the sword in Genesis chapter 27. It keeps circling back to the same wicked one of the Bible, right? Let me get Malachi 1 and 4.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1, verse 4.
Let's see if the Bible reveals who the wicked are. Read.
Whereas Edom says,
Who says?
Edom says,
The children of Esau, the Edomites, read.
we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
Keep reading.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall cast them, and they shall call them.
They shall call the Edomites, read.
The border of wickedness.
The border of what?
The border of wickedness.
The wicked nation that the Bible is talking about is the Edomites, according to the Bible itself. We're reading, thus saith the Lord. It's not our opinion. It's not our doctrine. We're just reading the Bible. And we have to understand it, and we're showing the people the truth of the Bible. Now let me get Isaiah 22.
You want me to link that with Obadiah?
Yeah, kind of.
You said 1 and 3? I didn't see it.
No, we can drop it.
Okay.
Isaiah 22 what?
Let's start from 20.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 22 and verse 20.
So there's another cut for Old Testament onlys. I need some answers. Read.
And it shall come to pass in that day.
In the future, this is going to happen in the future. Read.
That I will call my servant Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, verse 21. And I will clothe him with thy robe, and strengthen him with thy girdle.
When did Eliakim get a robe and a girdle? Somebody show me in the Bible where Eliakim is handed this robe and he's handed a girdle. Read it from the top.
Verse 21. And I will clothe him with thy robe.
No, I might do this.
And I will clothe him with thy robe.
I will, says the Lord, do this to Eliakim. Read.
And strengthen him with thy girdle.
With a what?
With thy girdle.
Hold that. Revelation 1:13.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks,
the 7 candlesticks, the same 7 lights that appeared before our father Abraham. Read.
One like unto the Son of Man.
Right.
Clothed with a garment down to the foot.
This is the robe that was supposed to be given to Eliakim. It's talking about the Messiah here. Read.
And girt about the paps with a golden girdle.
What does he have?
A golden girdle.
The girdle that was supposed to be given to Eliakim. Yahweh has it. The Messiah has it. Read.
Want me to keep going on that?
One more verse.
His head and his hairs were white like wool.
This is who we're talking about. Keep going.
As white as snow.
His hair is white as snow. Read.
And his eyes were a flame of fire.
It's talking about the Messiah here. That's the only person who's revealing every type of prophecy that we're bringing out right now. So let's keep going, right? Back to Isaiah 22. Yeah, 22. What verse are we at?
21.
Read 21.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 22 and verse 21. And I will clothe him with thy robe.
Now we understand who is clothed with the robe. Read.
And strengthen him with thy girdle.
And we understand who has the girdle now. Read.
And I will commit thy government into his hand.
Because he's the king of Israel. That's why he has the government in his hand. He's the son of David. Read.
And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And to the house of Judah.
Keep reading.
Verse 22. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder.
The what?
The key of the house of David will I lay upon his shoulder.
Hold that. Read what you got, King. Revelation 3:7.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write, these things says he that is holy, he that is true, he that has the key of David.
The what?
The key of David.
How did Yahweh get the key of David that was just given to Eliakim? Because that's who it's talking about. Keep reading.
Come on.
Read from top.
Okay, my bad. The key of David.
Uh-huh.
He that openeth and no man shutteth.
What does he do?
Openeth and no man shutteth.
He's given a key that when he opens, no man can shut it. What else does he do?
And shutteth and no man openeth.
And when he closes it, you can't open it. Read what you got again, King.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 22, verse 22.
Uh-huh.
And the key of the house of David
The same key that we just read about in Revelation that the Messiah has. Read.
will I lay upon his shoulder,
Read.
so he shall open,
Uh-huh.
and none shall shut.
Sounds familiar in Revelations, doesn't it? Keep reading.
And he shall shut, and none shall open.
Let's keep going.
Verse 23. And I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place.
What is God gonna do to his son?
I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place.
Who else was nailed to anything in the Bible? I'd love somebody to bring that out. Keep reading.
And he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house.
Who was nailed and then given the throne according to the Bible? If not the Messiah.
Right.
Let me get Isaiah 41 and 7 real quick. Don't, hold that, King. I mean, you can grab it up, but don't lose that. Isaiah 41 and 7, right?
Let's see this.
Yeah, he's grabbing it. So everybody knows, right? Yahushai's father, John, was a carpenter, wasn't he not? That means Yahushua learned how to be a carpenter, didn't he? So let's see. Bring it out, King. Let's see if the Bible talks about the carpenter. Read.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 41 and verse 7. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith,
Uh-huh.
and he that smootheth with the hammer, him that smote the anvil,
Uh-huh.
saying, it is ready for the soldering. And he fastened it with nails, that it should not be moved.
Uh-huh. You read it.
Verse 8. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend.
One more verse.
Verse 9. Thou, whom I have taken from the ends of the earth,
Uh-huh.
and called thee from the chief men thereof,
He called the children of Israel. He didn't call any religions or heathens. Keep going.
and said unto thee, thou art my servant, and I have chosen thee, and not cast thee away.
He has never cast away his people, right? And we're going to prove that in a second, too. Actually, let's prove that real quick. Let me get Jeremiah 31 and 35. Let's bring that out real quick, and then we'll come back to the lesson. I just want to bring that out to edify the nation, that the Most High never cast away his people, the children of Israel. That's a lie according to these false religions, but according to the Bible, God never cast away his people, and we're going to prove that. Jeremiah 31 and, 31 and 35.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 35. Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith us.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord. Read.
Which giveth the sun for a light by day,
Uh-huh.
and the ordinance of the moon of the stars for a light by night.
So the sun and the moon is obviously still here, right? Let's keep reading.
Which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. By the Lord of hosts is his name.
Uh-huh. Keep reading.
If those ordinances depart from before me,
If the sun and the moon fail to rise, read.
says the Lord, then the seed of Israel,
Then the what?
the seed of Israel,
If the sun and the moon disappear, then the seed of Israel what?
also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Do we see the sun? So then the nation of Israel is still a nation before the Most High God. Finish that out.
Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured,
Uh-huh.
and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off the seed of Israel for all that they have done, says the Lord.
So the Most High didn't cast us off. Thus saith the Lord. Now let's go back to Isaiah 22.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 22 and verse 23. And I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place, and he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house.
Now that everybody understands this is talking about the Messiah, let's keep reading.
Verse 24. And they shall hang upon him all the glory of his father's house, the offspring and the issue, all vessels of small quantity, from the vessels of cups, even to all the vessels of flagons.
Right, so let's understand what vessels are according to the Bible, right? Let me get Jeremiah 18:4.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 4. And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter.
Uh-huh.
So he made it again another vessel, as seen as seemed good to the potter to make it.
So these vessels are people. That's what the vessels are going into, right? So now let's go back to Isaiah 22 and 25. Let's finish that out.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 22 and verse 25.
Read.
In that day, saith the Lord of hosts,
Keep going.
shall the nail that is fastened in the short place,
Talking about the Messiah in the Old Testament. Read.
be removed, and be cut down and fall, and the burden that was upon it shall be cut off, for the Lord hath spoken it.
So this is how you know, since the Old Testament was teaching about the Messiah. It's not a new concept. He was revealed in the New Testament, but he was prophesied all through the Old Testament. And we're going to keep proving that. Let me get number 24.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 16.
God.
He has said, which heard the words of God and knew the knowledge of the Most High.
Read.
Which saw the vision of the Almighty falling into a trance.
So there's Balaam, right? Getting the vision from the Most High God. Let's see what the vision is. Read.
But having his eyes open, I shall see him, but not now.
He's going to see somebody, but not at that moment. Read.
I shall behold him, but not nigh.
He's going to behold somebody, but not at this moment. Let's keep reading.
There shall come a star out of Jacob.
There's going to be a light coming out of the children of Israel. The light unto the world. It's talking about the Messiah. Keep reading.
And a scepter shall rise out of Israel.
A scepter is a rod of rulership. That's what's talking about the Messiah again. Keep reading.
And shall smite the corners of Moab.
What is the Messiah going to do?
Smite the corners of Moab.
When he returns, he's going to go to war with nations. He's going to smite the corner of Moab. Keep reading.
And destroy all the children of Sheth.
When did anybody smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the children of Sheth? That didn't happen. Keep reading.
And Edom.
And who?
And Edom.
The biblical name of the Greco-Roman. Read.
And Edom shall be a possession.
Because when you read Isaiah 14, it tells you the nations that put the children of Israel into captivity are going into captivity. Thus saith the Lord in Revelation 13. Thus saith the Lord in Isaiah 14. Let's keep reading.
Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies.
The capital city of Edom. Their leadership is going to be exchanged. Read.
And Israel shall do valiantly.
Well, the children of Israel will do just fine. Let's keep reading.
Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion. And shall destroy him that remaineth out of the city.
When the Messiah comes back to judge the world, he's going to destroy all the wicked of the earth. Thus saith the Lord. Finish that out.
And when he looked up on Amalek,
when he looked at the Amalekites in the future, what does it say about the Amalekites?
He took up his parable.
He took up this saying. What did he say about the Amalekites?
And said Amalek was the first of the nations. But his latter end shall be that perish forever.
So at the end times, they will perish forever. Thus saith the Lord. So let's bring out some more Bible precepts, right? Let's get Isaiah 8 and 8.
I read that. Let me read it again.
Yeah, bring it out. Actually, Salakia, Isaiah 7:12.
Okay.
7:12.
I got it.
Read it.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 7 and verse 12. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. Verse 13. And he said, hear ye now, O house of David. O house of David.
House of David, subject matter, read.
Is it a small thing for you to weary men? But will ye weary my God also?
Keep reading.
Verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin.
A what?
A virgin.
When you read the Greek, the Hebrew, that word for virgin is Bethusla. The word Bethusla means a woman of marriageable age. Sorry. This verse says Alma. Alma means a woman of marriageable age, which is different from the Hebrew word Bethusla, like in Amos 2:7 or 3:7, or Amos chapter 2 or Amos chapter 3. You'll see the word virgin there, virginity. That's a whole different word in Hebrew. It's the word Bethusla to say virginity. This word in the book of Isaiah that we're reading, this virgin, that word is alma. Like in Spanish, if I say el amor de mi alma, the love of my life, my newlywed. That's what it's talking about. Keep reading.
Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel.
Right.
Verse 15. Butter and honey shall...
You can leave it there. You can leave it there, King. So this is talking about a prophecy of the Messiah being revealed, right? Let me get Micah 5 and 2.
Micah 5 and 2?
Yeah, and then let me get Psalms 110. And we'll finish it out with those two. All right. If you got a question, I'll be right with you. Micah 5 and 2, and then you get Psalms 110 and 12. So they're just us showing, right? People that had this concept where only the Old Testament and then they deny the Messiah. We're showing you all through the Old Testament the Messiah being revealed habitually. Read it when you got it, King.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 110 and verse 1. The Lord saith unto my Lord.
This is King David speaking. King David saying, the Lord said unto my Lord. There's two Lords in this verse. Read it again from the top.
The Lord saith unto my Lord.
Because he's seeing the Almighty Father, the highest, the holies of holies, the highest God there is, and then his firstborn son. That sits at his right hand. Read it again from the top.
The Lord saith unto my Lord.
What are those two Lords doing? Keep reading.
Sit thou at my right hand.
So the Father is telling the Son, sit at my right hand until what?
Until I make thine enemies.
Thy what?
Thine enemies.
Hold that. Let me get Psalms 82 real quick. Psalms 82, Psalms 83. Let's see who the enemies of God are to bring context to what this is talking about.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83.
Start from 2.
Verse 2.
Read.
For lo, thine enemies.
The what?
Thine enemies.
The enemies of God are who?
Make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They took crafty counsel against our people. Read.
And consorted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Let us do what?
Cut them off from being a nation.
That's why we think we're black, Latino, Native American, everything but the children of Israel, because they cut us off from being a nation. Read.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of what?
The name of Israel.
This name, read.
May be no more in remembrance.
And that's why the children of Israel forgot who they are. They no longer remember that they're Israelites. They think they're black, Latino, Native American, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Mexican, but they're wrong. They're the children of Israel, the children of the Most High God. Read.
They have, okay, Sean. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom.
The who?
Of Edom.
The Greco-Romans, the Edomites. Who else?
And the Ishmaelites.
The Arabs. Read.
And of Moab.
The Asians.
And the Hargon.
I'm African. So it's showing that God has enemies, right? So let's go back to this.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 110 and verse 1.
Read.
The Lord saith unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand.
The Father said to the Son, sit at my right hand. Read.
Until I make thine enemies.
Until I make the enemies that I just read, do what?
Thy footstool.
Until I put them under your foot, is what it says. Now let me get Genesis 3 and 14 again. Right. And we'll close it with that.
I got it.
There, bring it up.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 14.
Remember, it said, the Father said to the Son, sit at my right hand till I put your enemies under your foot. Read.
And the Lord God said unto the serpent.
The serpent, the enemies of God, the ones that tricked us from the beginning. Read.
Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle.
Read.
And above every beast of the field.
And we brought it earlier in Ecclesiastes 3:18, the beasts are men. Read.
Upon thy belly shalt thou go.
It's not talking about a physical serpent because the serpent's already on its belly. You can't curse it to do what it does naturally. It's talking about a man. I'm going to put you on the lowest state that you're going to be crawling on your belly. Read.
And dust shalt thou eat.
And your face will be towards the dirt is what that means. Read.
All the days of thy life. Verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman. And between thy seed and her seed.
So now it's talking about the Messiah, right? Let's read.
It shall bruise thy head. And thou shalt bruise his heel.
How is the Messiah going to bruise their head? Because he's going to stomp on them. He's going to put them under his foot. He's going to put them under his footstool. That's what it's revealing. So that's what the Bible's talking about. The Bible's been showing the Messiah from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and the judgment of all the nations from the Old Testament to the New Testament. There's nothing new under the sun. And I'd love to see an Old Testament only deal with any one of those scriptures. If you want to challenge us and debate us, feel free to message us. And we'll have this debate with you live, with whoever. And with that, I want to say shalom.
Shalom.
Oh, Salaki, let me bring one more thing up here.
Yeah, sorry, one more.
Yeah, bring it up.
This is Proverbs 30 and 4. I need the Old Testament to answer this.
Encore. Okay, bring it out.
Who has ascended up unto heaven or descended? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name?
What is the Father's name? And who's that son is talking about? If it's not the Messiah. You Old Testament owners are bugged out of your mind. you might want to get into this word and deal with the scriptures we read, and then you'll understand how you were wrong this whole time. But with that, you got anything? Cut.